Now, I want you to consider how important this piece of technology is in your life, how it runs your day. For most of us, it woke you up. It gave you your news. It told you what's going on in Washington, and you're able to communicate with the entire world using this device. Now, I want you to consider that today, your phone bill costs you $30 per month. By a show of hands, if your phone bill were to increase to $60 next month, who would still pay for the increase? What if it went to $90? $120? Now, what if your phone bill were to increase to $2,000, an approximately 7,000% increase? Now, I know that most of us think we need our phones to get through the rest of the day. It's practically a pacemaker for most of us. But imagine if that shiny new device in front of you were a life-saving pharmaceutical medication which you would need to live for the rest of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, for millions of patients across this nation, this is the problem, and it's simple. Indigent patients are unable to pay for their life-saving medications due to the high and rising cost of pharmaceutical drugs. At the same time, these pharmaceutical companies must recuperate the millions and billions of dollars invested in the development of these drugs. So what must we do? By applying the Rotary four-way test, we can not only examine the causes and effects of the pharmaceutical crisis in our nation, but we can look to create and validate more viable solutions. Firstly, is it the truth? Let me take you back to 2015, when a drug known as Daraprim costed merely $14 a pill. Daraprim was used to treat infections associated with malaria, childbirth, and even cancer. Then, overnight, the price of Daraprim was increased 5,500% to a whopping $750 per pill. Yes, that's right. The price of Daraprim went from costing a little more than lunch at Chipotle to more than a 7-day cruise to the Bahamas. Dozens of Washington lawmakers and lobbyists begged the owners of Daraprim to reverse the price spike, to which they received a resounding no. And what could our nation's legislators do about it? Absolutely nothing. So yes, it's true. It's true that the average cost to bring a drug to market is $15 billion, and for every one that makes it, 10 fail. Yes, it's true that sometimes the prices rise for drugs that literally save the lives of patients who would die the next day, week, or month. And yes, it's true that there is currently no regulation in the United States barring massive pharmaceutical companies from raising prices as high as they wish. And yes, it's true. It's unfortunately true that the only person who suffers is the patient. It's you and me, your mother and my grandfather. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth is scary. Now, secondly, is it fair to all concerned? Like many things in life, there are two sides to this issue. On the one hand, it is unfair to raise drug prices multifold overnight for those patients who direly need these drugs to live. Ultimately, it's immoral and unethical to make life-saving medications unaffordable for those who direly need them. At the same time, we must look at the other side, where we have major multinational pharmaceutical corporations. It's unfair to these companies to expect them to sell drugs at a low price, given the high cost of research and development, clinical trials, and regulatory burdens. Companies are forced to charge hefty prices to recuperate the money they've invested in these drugs. The current climate in the pharmaceutical industry is not fair to anyone concerned. Now, thirdly, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Simply stated, changes to big pharma are necessary and unavoidable. Several researchers have suggested the implementation of an award-based or grant-based system. The idea involves the government giving a prize or an award for developing a certain therapy for the first company rather than issuing a patent. Why? Patents create monopolies, monopolies create burdens, and patients are left without their life-saving pharmaceutical medications. Additionally, the government would subsidize the cost of production, keeping costs low throughout the entire process, thereby making it affordable for consumers. Solving the pharmaceutical crisis facing our nation will ultimately build goodwill and better friendships. Now finally, will it be beneficial to all concerned? If the government were to work with the pharmaceutical industry to regulate the price of life-saving medications, it is undoubtedly true that relationships between people and pharmaceutical companies and these companies and the government would improve, and in totality, it would be beneficial to all concerned. I'd like to leave you with one small anecdote. Dora Rose was the mother of 2 and had 3 grandchildren with whom she enjoyed spending her weekends. In early 2015, Dora Rose was diagnosed with severe chronic liver disease. She enjoyed seeing her grandchildren on the weekends while she could still afford her medication until the price of her medication skyrocketed to nearly $3,000 a month, a price that Dora simply just could not afford. She went nearly a year without her medication, causing her health to deteriorate rapidly. Unfortunately, Dora Rose died at the age of 71, just 4 short months ago. Ladies and gentlemen, no matter what side of the political spectrum you may be on, I think we can all agree that it is a basic human right to have access to affordable, life-saving medications. The pharmaceutical crisis facing our nation is no light matter. Therefore, it leaves us no choice but to join together, to make a concerted effort to make sure that what happened to Dora Rose will never again happen in this nation. Just keep in mind, how much could you afford to keep your phones on? Thank you.